it's this first one here. Okay, so do that. And then go to the first one.
Hmm?
We're going to look at them electronically. Okay, here you go. In this search, so what this is this is a database of everybody's dissertations. Everyone that graduated from Rutgers University, all campuses with a PhD, right? Their dissertation is here. And most are public. One or two are private, but most are public. So here is how you can use this to your advantage. You look up the dissertation of someone that has graduated from your program so that you can have an idea of what was successful, right? So who shall we look up? We're going to put a name in here. Is there anyone?
Radham Swartz.
Let's spell the last name.
Swartz, S-C-W-A-R-T-Z.
S-C-W-A. First name?
Radham, R-A-D-A-M. I know I've read that. Uh-oh, I spelled his name wrong.
Yeah.
Isn't there an H in
What's
there?
your last name? That's it.
Yes, yeah, there's an H. Where did I?
Yeah, it's what? The S-C-H.
Oh,
Try
here we go.
Yeah,
S-C-H.
there you go.
Okay, so this is how it shows up, right? So date created, 2012, degree date, May 2012, right? Title, Organ Jazz. Oh, that's a very short title.
Yeah.
Sorry. And then there's a description of the research, okay? And the graduate program, Jazz History and Research.
You
Now,
better have Billy Preston in there with organ jazz.
hmm?
I
better have Billy
don't, I
Preston in there.
don't believe he did. I read it, but I'm not,
Billy
look it
right
up.
there.
Okay. So here is
Billy
the
Preston was
formal
quite
thing.
an
And what we're going to look, so here are
Wow.
all the useful things you can see. First of all, you can see how long it is, right?
Yeah.
So this one happens to be 104 pages,
Wait for it.
okay? So this was, this passed, right? It was effective. You can also see acknowledgments. So here we go, table of contents, right? You can see how this person arranged their research, right? So chapter 1 is a historical overview, chapter 2 analysis, the case of academia and the blues factor. Those are the content chapters, right? And then
The content chapter 3 and 4?
3 and 4
Okay.
are the content, and then chapter 5, finding solutions, right? So, because you will have to do this too, you will be creating this document.
Can I see the abstract? please?
Yeah.
See what he's trying to, because when I've been researching is to how to acquire information fast, they say, read the first 2 things, the abstract and then the summary.
So here we go.
Okay, now it's going enough. Who's connected venues where the music was formed? The Chitlin Circuit, yeah. History of the music and the historical practice. I don't know both the forms of exclusion. Okay, so that's really for the mission. That's just probably based on interviews with prominent figures in jazz history. So that's just the open.
So here is his contribution.
There are several amounts of argument. So sometimes, basically you're saying, sometimes they don't have to come out and say, this thesis, my thesis is, or whatever. They could word it in another way.
You can.
Um,
Yeah, there's some.
Where's the thesis on that you see? You take it as is there another page for this abstract, or that's it?
No, this is his abstract, and this is his preface.
Okay, so I'm trying to find out
This
what
is-
is he trying to say that
This
this
one.
paper.
This is his contribution.
Okay, so his paper, Jazz Organ, also documents the inclusion of music from academia, both performance, musical art branches, and suggests reasons for their mission, contentiously, partly based on interviews with prominent figures in jazz educational.
So
Okay.
this is the purpose of his study, to speak to these exclusions in academia and the reasons for it. And he interviewed prominent figures, and so this is his study.
That's the
Or
controversy.
His contribution
Okay.
to the field.
No, because also I'm looking at it, says jazz organ. My thesis, jazz organ, chronicles the history of the music and examines the theoretical characteristics that made it unique.
Where's that?
Above it, within the first paragraph.
Yes, the sentence right before that.
Oh, Jazz Chronicles, the history of... Yeah, so this is
But that doesn't really tell you like
This is broader.
Yeah, exactly. It
This
doesn't
is
tell
more
you.
specific.
Right. Yeah. I can understand more the second part. For the first part, just like it just chronicles, chronicling something. Why are you
Yeah.
chronicling? What's the purpose for it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Second part hits the note.
So this is a part of his historical overview, because we see that chapter 1 for him is history.
Right.
So he's gonna do that chronicling there. So why it's useful is because you can look, when you get to the chapters, you can see how people word things, how they say things, right? So you look at the language, how are they writing about particular issues? How are they organizing it? So here he has subsections, right?
Okay.
So here in this chapter,
Exactly.
this is the first thing that he's talking about. Second,
Babyface Willett,
third,
Shirley Scott,
fourth,
Freddie Roach,
fifth,
John Patterson.
sixth,
Earl.
Gene Ludwig,
7,
Jimmy McGriff,
8, 9,
Gloria Coleman,
10.
Larry
Oh, he has a lot.
Larry Young.
Larry Young.
So if we don't see, hold on, John Patton, if we don't see Billy Preston up there, Melvin right here.
Yeah, he did play the Chitlin Circle.
Yes, he did for a while. No, he wasn't superstar from the beginning.
Okay. So here, you go by chapter, right? So this would be useful for you because you will write in, a similar sort of style. But this won't be useful for you because we write things differently,
Yeah.
right? So it depends on the discipline.
Do you use Chicago?
APA.
You use APA?
I use APA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Director O'Meara, who I'm taking I've taken an international law class with him. He's just a stickler, Chicago.
Oh, really?
He is stickler with it. He wants
Yeah.
Chicago, so all I've been doing is just Chicago.
Yeah.
Chicago. You know.
So if he ends up being your chair, then you do Chicago.
Yeah.
But I do APA. So for would you like to look up someone in your program?
Yeah. Let me see.
And then I can pull out.
There's someone just did it. What's it, Ivana? Oh, you have someone? Okay, go ahead. That's fine.
Yeah.
You know Ivana?
I don't.
Okay, go ahead. Because he just got his doctorate, so I want to see what they actually.
Oh, I do. Of course I know Yvonne. I do.
All right.
He's a lovely person.
Yeah.
Yes, I do know Yvonne.
If you find him, man, let's see what he had going on.
I do know. Okay,
Oh,
so
Curtis.
this is Elson Haskell, so she graduated from Global Affairs. And here, so we're gonna look at some things, right? So here.
How many pages is she? 100? What? 300
So
and what?
332.
Holy
now
shit, that's a full.
This is with all of the attachments and things like that. Now, 100 pages won't be long enough for our program. If you're gonna have to write more than that, you wanna aim for 200. So for global affairs, you wanna aim for 200. So, here's her table of contents, right? So she's very organized, it's very easy to follow. Now we're gonna go to her methodology. So here are all the things she talked about. Rationale for qualitative research method, multiple case study methodology, data collection methods, interview, snowball sampling, interview process, archival process, participant data analysis, open coding. She did open coding, right? So here.
What's open coding?
It's a way to analyze the data.
With that same software you're talking about? The
You
Vivo?
can use
Vivo?
in vivo.
Yeah,
You can use in vivo.
okay,
Yeah, you
okay.
make codes and,
So they take all information and data and try to correlate, try to figure out a correlation between it, or?
well, you make the codes.
Okay.
And then it helps you locate the codes.
Oh, okay.
and all of the
See the
transactions.
connection, okay.
Yeah, and so finally, strengths of the research, limitations. So you can even look at how long a chapter is, right? So her chapter, it starts on page, let's say 110, right? And it goes to 130. So her methodology chapter is 30 pages long. So you can, and yours doesn't have to be 30, but you can start to get a sense of, how long should these things be,
For real.
right? So you can start thinking about that. And these are her content chapters and her conclusion. Okay, so it's a useful database. Would you like to look anyone up from your program?
Yvonne, you remember
Oh,
Yvonne?
did he?
Deva? I don't know, it's Y-V-A-N, the last name, first name, and what was the last name?
I don't know, I don't remember.
I gotta pop it up.
Yeah.
Can you just put it in Yvonne, see if anything pops up?
No.
No?
This person's name is Jonathan. How about from the business school? Would you like to, do you know anyone who's doing who graduated with a similar topic, or have you looked at other people's dissertations?
I read some people's dissertation, but not from our school.
Oh.
China?
Oh no, from Arizona.
Yeah.
Arizona University.
Well, we don't have to do it now. This is just so you know.
Yeah, I know.
You should look at some.
Just want to try.
All right, here we go. Updates, Peter Hula, there we go. Peter Hula.
I have one here.
Mhm.
Is
Last name.
Alzola, Alzola.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh,
First name?
I think this is the last name.
Do you have the first name?
I don't have a clear first name here.
Oh.
It's M is the.
Yeah, M, yes.
M is the
M.
initial.
Oh, here, Miguel. M is the first initial,
Yeah.
so it's this one.
Yeah, I think so.
Um,
Yes, character.
Graduate Program Management.
Yes.
Okay. So. Yep. Edwin M. Hartman is the chair.
Mm-hmm.
So you can also look at like people that have graduated from your chair, right? Because then you can see what they find acceptable. Let's look at the table of contents. Here we go. Very organized. Very organized. And so you can see how they, the chapters and the subsections. And this one is 350 pages. But I think actual writing is from, this is the bibliography. 300 pages of writing. So if, for your you should look at this person's literature
Yeah.
review and see how they talk, let's do that, see how they talk about things. Literature review is on page. Oh, that's interesting, it's not.
I think maybe there is no clear
Yeah.
name of literature review, but
He wrote it more like a book.
yes, it seems it's not an empirical study.
Ah, okay. Yeah, so I'm not sure what this one.
It was my first time to see this dissertation work.
Right. Oh, here, I see the puzzle. This is probably. Yeah. So you gotta look through it.
Yeah, sure.
So it's, this is a good way to see like what has been accepted and what has been done and how people talk about things and what phrases and what vocabulary they use.
Here it goes. I believe it's Patricia Yvonne,
What's his how do you spell his last name?
Y-V-A-N, but first name is Patricia.
That's someone else.
Hold on. That's when they have one. Hold on, let me go up and.
I don't think Yvonne has defended yet.
No?
No, he's still in the program.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about, Sabrina Axter?
Isn't Sabrina still in the program?
Oh, yeah, you're right. Damn, she is in the program.
Yeah.
Did see so, yeah.
These people are still in the
Still in the program, yeah.
Mhm.
No, I only want to congratulate.
Yeah.
No.
So it's you can use it if you find it useful. Okay. Did you want to look at anything more with getting your work published? Any questions there? Or did you want to look at any journal?
No, I'm good. I'm ready for whatever you're gonna teach.
Okay.
I'm game. You're the professor. Aside from this, what else do you teach? You said you
Here.
teach English?
English
101,
composition
101?
here.
Okay.
Yeah, 101 and 102.
Okay. No fanboys over here.
No.
think that's the most dreaded subject.
English.
English 101.
Here at Rutgers, it's so tough,
Mhm.
and I teach it, and it's, you know, it's just really, it's a hard class. The department
Oh, really?
makes it really hard, yeah, the students suffer.
I know someone who retired from that department, Louis Crew. I said he retired a few years ago.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, the class teaches critical thinking skills, which everyone needs, but it's not easy to learn how to think critically. Okay, so this exercise, I actually adapted from a class that I took when I was doing coursework. The class is Qualitative Research Methods, and the professor is Dr. Arthur Powell. He teaches qualitative methods. He also teaches quantitative research methods. And when I took his class, he gave this exercise. So you have a handout. And this has been so helpful. I found this to be so helpful. So let's look at it together. Now, writing an abstract is a very helpful exercise. You should practice writing an abstract even when you're not currently submitting to anything, right? Because an abstract is a very concise summary and description of your research. Now, you will need an abstract for your thesis, for your dissertation, and you need an abstract if you're trying to apply to have something published. You also need an abstract when you're applying for a conference. So you need an abstract for all of these things, right? So it's helpful to have one. So how to write an abstract, and so Dr. Arthur Powell is on the bottom. Okay. The abstract of a research study summarizes the problem investigated, participants involved, hypotheses posed, methods used, results obtained, and conclusion derived. Typically, it is between 150 to 250 words, 300 maximum, so it's short, right? It is a brief, comprehensive summary. It is informative, dense, it is accurate, reflects purpose and content, etc. You can read through these. So, let's see. I mean, all of you you're already doing it. You know you have an idea of what you're interested in. And you can probably do this at the master's level too. So take about 10 to 12 minutes, and what you're gonna do is write a sentence that responds to each of these points. So let's look at example 1 together. And this has to do with his own work. So there are 2 formats. I encourage you to use the first one. It's more straightforward. So you're going to use format 1, and you're going to write 1 sentence for each point in the format. Consider writing the first sentence last. Okay, the first sentence is the hardest. Would anyone like to read example 1?
Using data from focus group interviews, we inquire into possible shifts in secondary mathematics, teachers' attitudes and experiences toward a focus on collaboration, discourse, and dynamic mathematics. Participants engaged in a course in which they interacted in a collaborative online environment known as virtual math teams with GeoGebra, or Gebra?
Probably Gebra.
Okay. Focusing on mathematical practices and discourse. From a socio-cultural perspective, we believe that teachers gradually develop their technological, pedagogical content knowledge by interacting discursively in small groups. Using conventional content analysis of pre- and post-course focus group interviews, we investigate changes in teachers' experiences and attitudes. Our results show that through taking the course, teachers' attitudes and experiences shifted importantly.
Okay, so in this paragraph, you'll notice that there is 1 sentence for each of the bullets under format for abstract number 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there are 6 bullets. So you should have 6 sentences. Now, it's not easy to write an abstract because this is your entire work being put into 6 sentences, right? Maximally informative yet concise sentences. So what you can take 10 to 12 minutes to do is write a sentence for each of these bullet points based on the work that you're doing or you're interested in doing.
This guy only has 5 though. I mean, and when I'm reading example 1, I only count 5.
I think he combined,
Some of them?
he combined, hold on, let's see the 2 he combined. So he has the findings, he has the first sentence. He combined the,
Objects and objectives.
I think he combined theoretical perspective and method.
Okay. Question.
From a socio-cultural perspective, that's the theoretical or conceptual framework.
Hold on, let me find that. Okay.
Yeah, he combined those 2. And
And
then
the
he
method,
said,
okay, I see right there.
I
the
use
method.
conventional content analysis in focus group interviews. So
Right.
that's the method.
Methodology.
Yeah, so he combined those 2.
Question, the word after context is broad? It says board, but is it broad?
It's supposed to be broad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
thank you. Thank you, I will fix that. Broad. So, writing an abstract, and I think it's good to do this like more than once, right? So this is another thing that you can do like once a month or once every 2 months. Write a sentence for each one of these points, and then we can look at it together. And if you're not sure, like what type of research methods you would use, just project it, right? Project it based on what you're interested in. I highly recommend this class too. If anyone is looking for a research methods class, it's quite good.
Which class is that?
So this one was Qualitative Research Methods with Dr. Arthur Powell. He's in Bradley, actually. His office is in Bradley.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I found his class very
Because
great.
everything, just about everything I do is over in Bradley.
Yeah, he's on the first floor.
Oh, in the academic resources? Foundations?
Yeah, so he's not, his office is there, and Academic Foundation Center is there too. Yeah. It's a really great class.
Excuse me.
And he teaches conventional content analysis. You go through drafts of your abstract, so you write multiple drafts of an abstract in his class. You talk about coding, you talk about interviewing, all of that.
Okay,
Great class.
okay.
How's it going? So even if you get like one sentence out, right? So this is just so that you can start practicing this and getting the feel of it. Because you will have to write an abstract. And it's not terribly easy.
Yeah, it's not terribly hard either. It's like, how good of paper do you want? You know what I mean?
Right,
Basically, that's what it
right,
boils down to.
Right.
I'm at the stage of inquiring, like, what do I really want to write about?
Yeah.
I thought regarding, and you hinted when you said, check out on the dissertation link in Rutgers, and someone wrote about money remittance to India. Didn't sound too fascinating the way you were. I hear what you're saying, but I would approach it on a different filter, as in the context of what can the senders do to influence activities of the recipients, not so much because even though the recipients and individuals receive the money, the governments, there's a cut going on with them somehow. You understand what I'm saying? And the recipients who then get the money, they put it right back into the economy.
Okay.
So that keeps the government afloat,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? And the benefits of government governance is not being transferred back to the people. Hence the poverty, the ghettos,
Yeah.
the lack of credible education and opportunities for the youth.
Yeah,
So I'm thinking, I'm saying, well, can we, as the people who are sending, even though it might be a you got to suffer for a while type of
Yeah.
situation, but the money that we're sending you, the government is profiting for it. It's not transferring that profit back to you guys as
Yeah.
as citizen. So I'm looking at it in that context. I don't know how her paper was. Her paper was might have been, well, it boosts the economy and blah blah blah. You know what I mean? But I'm looking at it until I read her paper. That's my angle, what I'm looking for. But I don't know how to
Yeah.
address that in the terms of an abstract.
yeah.
So I
So
told-
you'll have to narrow, so there are many things, that I mean, you'll have a lot to work with, there are many things. So one thing that I hear in there, one question, potential research question is, do, you know.
Slow down.
How do
Yeah,
remittances
yeah.
essentially either encourage and facilitate or diminish or undermine good governance in Jamaica or whatever country. You may end up doing more than one country. So you're looking, and it's not really.
Undermine what you say?
Like, you know, good
Good
governance.
governance.
Yeah. So essentially, you know, free of corruption, good governance or legitimate governance in whatever the home country is. So you're looking at the effect of the remittance on good governance. Is there a relationship between the two, and what is that relationship? And it's going to be complex. So that's one thing I hear in there.
You know, when I hear you describing what's going on in Jamaica, it sounds so much like what's happening here.
Mm.
That it isn't funny, especially in minority communities.
Mm.
Yeah, you know.
So like what's happening?
In terms of the education, in terms of the resources
Yeah.
not being allocated to people here.
Yeah,
Well, that's something,
yeah, that definitely happens here.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I've seen a lot of it. I mean, it's just like the area that this school in NJIT was built on.
mhm,
When I was growing up, there was housing here.
mhm,
It was substandard housing.
mhm,
Some of the buildings actually had outhouses
mhm,
in the 1960s.
mhm,
And, but people were upset when they were asked to move from here so that the schools could be built,
mhm,
because people could afford to pay the rent here.
mhm, yeah.
And when they moved
Gentrification.
out of here, they had to move to places that had hot and cold running water.
Places unknown.
And, yeah, well, you could pay 3 times the rent.
Yeah.
You could live here, and at that time, almost everybody who wanted a job had one.
Mhm,
So you could take that little bit of money you had and save it.
mhm,
And now, they're telling you you have to go spend all the money you make
mhm.
to afford to pay rent.
Are you talking about Whole Check, AKA Whole Foods?
Whole Foods. I
Whole
like
Foods,
that.
it was.
Whole check. That's a good one.
Yeah, well, it was your
That's a
whole
really good
check.
one. Yeah, you have to ask yourself, like, who can the people in the community afford to buy groceries there? It's for the universities and it's for Prudential, right?
Yeah,
It's for,
in that corporate area.
Yeah.
That's what it is. You know,
Mhm.
we don't really trust the local cuisine, and it's we want our stuff fresh and organic, and we don't want any high fructose corn syrup with polysorbate 80 and preservatives. You know what I mean?
Monosodium glutamate.
Yeah. Meanwhile, in the hood, like pass the red Kool-Aid.
I really like that whole check. Oh, that's so true.
Yeah, that's what's going on. Yeah.
Oh, quick check.
No. Yeah.
But yeah, so your topic, there's a lot in there for you to work with, and as you keep reading, you'll figure out, like, are you looking more at governance? Are you looking more like the government and how the government is functioning? Are you looking more at the remittance policies, right? So what are the country's policies on remittance, and then you'll evaluate that. Are you looking more at the individual people? So who are the people?
You forgot somebody in there, individual, or we could be looking at the actual, the company that does the remittance. Why should you charge such a percentage? Why don't you, why do you charge this percentage compared to when you send transfer someplace else, you only charge that percentage?
So then you'd be looking at the companies, right? So that's another component. So you'll, as you're reading, you'll figure out what you think is most important to write a dissertation about.
And it's all over in the Caribbean. It's not just indicative of Jamaica.
Yeah, so you can do a multiple case study. You can do like 3 countries, 4 countries. You can do 5 countries.
That sounds like a nice travel plan.
Mm-hmm.
You think what I'm thinking? Yeah.
You do your entire dissertation in the Caribbean. You could do that. And if you're not interviewing, if you're not trying to interview a lot of, let's say you're looking at policy, you're looking at either the company's policies or government policy, you can do 5 countries. But you have to contact the appropriate entities and just say, can you send me your policies? They're gonna have reports and stuff. Can you send me your policies on these things? And then you're gonna spend all your time reading through those thousands and thousands of pages.
Discouragement.
And it'll be a fascinating thing. So there's a lot to work with. If you want to interview people, you may not be able to do, all 5. So maybe you do 2, and you do a comparative case study.
No, I'm talking about going to each country and probably doing something.
You could,
The budget, they have, like you say, there is something that, from what I understand, that we're going to be doing called grant writing. How to
Okay.
acquire the funds to do your dissertation or your research.
Okay.
I believe that's what it is, yeah. So, because one of my professors used to tell me, if you're going for a PhD and they like what you're doing, they'll pay for it. I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah, that's
they'll
true.
pay for you. They'll give you money for the research, give you money for to live, to sustain yourself. And I'm like, really? I'm like, what field is this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could do it. It'll take more time, but if you have the funding, then you have the time to do it. So there's a lot of interesting stuff. So you'll just have to find your angle in there.
You know who might be interested in stuff and funding stuff like that? No, not just a think tank though, but I wonder if CARICOM, Caribbean Community, the Organization of the Caribbean Governments.
Maybe, it depends, so it depends on what it is you're trying to say. So for example.
Okay, they might not be.
They won't be happy
Yeah.
with what you're researching.
Exactly,
You're
you're exposing us.
Yeah, that they're corrupt,
Yeah.
that they're doing things poorly. They may not want to give your study funding.
Back in the 80s, when Idi Amin was
That dude.
in Uganda,
Yeah.
2 brothers came here from Uganda to study for their PhDs. And one wrote a dissertation criticizing Idi Amin's government.
How long did he live?
Could he go
Well-
back? He probably couldn't go back.
Oh, yes, Idi Amin sent for him.
Holy crap!
He said, come on, come back home, we need to talk.
Did he go?
Yes, and he never saw him again.
Oh, idiot!
His brother's still here.
His brother had sense.
Wow.
He
Yeah.
should have seen the handwriting on the wall. Like,
Right.
Well, if he didn't go home, he probably would have had someone here to kill him.
or his family probably threatened his family down there. Like, come back and we'll do this to
Yeah.
Mama and Daddy and the whole nine. So come back.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
How's your abstract going?
Oh, I'm still working on it.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what,
How's it going?
I'm having a bit of a problem.
Mhm.
I started off with the objectives, the focus and research topic or question.
Right.
No problem.
Okay.
Then I get to theoretical perspective or conceptual framework.
Mhm.
That's something I really have to think about.
Yeah. So for your
For-
field.
Yeah.
Mhm. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, you're right, but, you know, I know quite a bit about philosophy, but I
Yeah.
have to think about it, how to express that.
Right. Is there do you have to use I'm not familiar, so with your field, do you have to identify, so you're probably doing like, there's definitely a historical angle.
Yeah, that's most definitely a historical part, and I also have to do, what do you call that, analysis of musical analysis,
Mhm.
which means that I have to do a transcript of some of it, and I've already put on.
You have to transcribe musically? Notes?
Yes,
Staff? Staff?
From John Coltrane songs.
Oh, wow, that's a difficult one.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I have to get it done. I
Runs
tried to
all-
get an expert to help me, but he wants to be paid.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, yeah, the man runs the whole gamut. He's not just doing no quarter notes.
Yeah.
He's doing like 64ths, 30 seconds.
Yeah, and
all
he's
sorts of stuff.
not just staying in one key.
Exactly.
Either, and he's doing like all 12 keys in the space of one measure and making it sound like it's just one key. You know?
Mhm.
Yeah, but the thing is, I've already put together two Martin Luther King speeches with two Coltrane songs and got them hooked up.
Synced? So you have
Wow.
to sync
Oh, yeah,
all that?
sync.
Wow, that's it.
Wow.
And
Really?
there's one spot where and this is what's really strange about it. Martin Luther King says, "I just want to do God's will." This was his last speech,
Hmm.
and Coltrane plays it, da, 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 da. And it sound, and when you put them together, you say,
Yeah, they're geniuses.
yeah.
Right.
Well, it's not just that. It's the history. It's John Coltrane's history.
Mm.
He had two preachers as grandfathers on both sides,
Oh, okay.
and he grew up in the black church,
Mhm.
listening to black sermons,
Mhm.
and so
Even the speech patterns.
Yeah, the
There's a
speech
difference.
pattern.
If you notice, they have, I don't remember what they call it, but they say certain speech patterns is effective in reaching people.
Mhm.
And Martin Luther King had one of those speech patterns and
Yeah.
how the delivery of how to.
Yeah, he was a great orator.
And despite whatever they said about Hitler, whatever the
Mhm.
situation may have been and the wickedness
Oh,
that
he
may
was
have
a great
caused,
speech.
he
Yeah.
had
He knew how to
a
deliver
pattern
a
of how to
speech.
deliver, like, and just mesmerize people with
Mhm.
it.
He
You
knew
know?
how to deliver a speech. I mean, I don't even know what he was saying because I don't understand German that much.
Right.
But
Yeah.
if you look at one of his speeches, he starts off, and just like Martin Luther King, he starts off slow and low, and he starts to build up.
Mhm.
And you know, next thing you know, it's built up to this.
Yeah.
Like that.
Wow.
You know,
Yeah,
everybody's yeah. You know.
It's like a scene out of the Matrix when they're dancing
Yeah.
in the cave. Remember that?
You could write a dissertation on that. That could be its
Yeah,
own
and
dissertation.
you know-
And comparing these different styles.
There was an Episcopal priest in the 19th century named
Johnny,
no, Phillips Brooks. Phillips Brooks.
Okay.
He had a church in Boston, and both W.E.B. Du Bois and Booker T. Washington
Yeah.
wrote about
The white
it.
guy?
He was a white
Yeah,
guy.
yeah, yeah.
He wrote the Christmas carol, "O Little Town of Bethlehem."
Okay. He made a killing then.
Yeah.
And Martin Luther King patterned some of his sermons based on some of his sermons.
Okay.
Mm.
He studied his sermons.
But keep in mind too, certain speech patterns only, for example, I might have a speech pattern and it pertains or it's acceptable or it's presentable to only a certain category of people.
Mhm.
My style or my slang or my pattern it's convenient, conducive for blacks to listen to it, African Americans to listen to it. And then, if I'm trying to reach out to another race, I might have to pattern or learn their styles, so I can effectively, their little idiosyncrasies, so I can effectively reach them. So when you said about Martin Luther King checking that guy out in study clothes, who was the guy's followers? Who was that guy?
He had a church that had a lot of blacks in it.
He had a lot of whites also at it.
Whites.
Yeah.
Basically a white church, but he had a lot of blacks in his
Okay,
church.
okay.
So, black people sat there and listened to him,
Okay.
mesmerized.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Have you ever read Letter from Birmingham Jail?
oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Mhm.
one of the most brilliant things I've ever read. I have my students read it. Okay, so any questions about the abstract? Is there any particular point that you're stuck on?
Well, I'll tell
Does
you
the
what.
abstract need to include some background of your research, or it's not necessary? We
So
can just
that's
start.
actually the first bullet on here. So if we look at number 1, so context.
Yes, but you can, I see in the example 1, example 2,
Yeah.
it's directly start from what they did.
Oh, using from focus group. Yeah, you're right. So you are right there. So the second part, let's look at example 1, the second part of the first sentence. So after using data from focus group interviews, and then that second part, that's the context, that's the background. Right? Shifts in secondary mathematics, teachers' attitudes and experiences towards a focus on collaboration, discourse, and dynamic mathematics. So that is the background. So what that also tells you are, these are the bodies of literature that this study is grounded in. So, writing an abstract is like an art, and you continue to develop it, but I agree, with what Dr. Powell has written here, it is like the single most important paragraph. Because whether you are applying for a job, for a conference, for publication, whatever you are applying for, they read the abstract first. So invest the time into, making it concise and very informative. So, it'll come down to how can you, really wield the English language if you're doing it in English and, make these sentences. Okay, so any questions about, so I'll give you, a couple you can think about it. So this is the whole presentation. So from here, I'll look at, we can talk about like your writing samples or anything that you may personally be having trouble with. But take a minute and think about everything we talked about today, and do you have any questions, anything that's unclear, anything that I forgot to talk about, let me know.
What do you mean by format for abstracts 1, room number 1? Context, what is board landscape?
It's supposed to be broad.
Oh,
Broad, yes.
The,
Of course, asked it before.
the spell checker
Yeah.
got dyslexic.
Yeah.
broad.
See, that's the one thing about spell checker. You actually wrote a word there, so
It's clear.
it's gone.
Yeah.
It's,
So you want a broad landscape, so it's a generalization?
Yeah, so it's sort of like the background for your topic.
you can't put all the specifics in one sentence.
Yeah, true, so it's
So
okay.
you have to be broad.
Okay, so basically like, we love shrimp, and then you get in the other context, fried shrimp, fricasseed shrimp, pineapple shrimp.
Right, specifically what kind of. Yeah.
Okay.
So you should say, we love seafood,
Okay, we love seafood.
but it's basically shrimp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Break it down. Oh, no, we love fish. We love us some fish. Maui, groupers, snappers,
Halibut.
Sushi. All right. Objective focus of the research. Okay. Focus of the research.
I just ran into, I needed vocabulary word, but I can't.
For what?
To think about. Oh, I can't. If the thought really could come to me, a word will come.
Oh, you have the word in there. You just can't retrieve
Yeah,
it
I
right
just
now.
can't.
Okay.
Can't pull it out.
Mhm.
This is something that will come to me 3 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Mhm.
Ah, that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, have a notepad, sort of on your.
Get everybody's,
stand.
get everybody's email so we can email us in the morning.
Yeah, what the word was.
Yeah. The format for, oh, this is still doing this one, right? We haven't gone to two. Format for abstracts
Well,
two,
we can
right?
talk about two. We can talk about any part of the presentation.
Okay, formats for abstracts two. Now,
Yeah.
what's the difference between this, the one and two? What's going on here? Or you
Yeah,
have an example of two?
it's on the back.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's number two.
Okay, so the first sentence was a problem on investigation.
Mm-hmm.
So let me just basically break it down. I'll break it down the description of participants, the demographics and the cultural. Oh, okay, so undergraduates, okay.
But even in example one, I
Yeah.
think the first sentence is also things like the problem under investigation.
It seems like which one?
It's like the format two, the second format, the problem under investigation.
Yeah.
Even in example one.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? That's-
Yeah, I mean, regardless of, which format, you have to have, that's the important pieces of
Oh,
information.
yes.
So the same information is included in both, in all abstracts.
Okay.
It's just a bit stylistically different.
Like, so the general floor is like what I want to see and how I confirm, or how I explore that question and what I get at the end as a result.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, how I yeah.
Can we as a class go over each sentence to match them to the bullet points for one and two,
Yeah,
please?
okay.
So we,
So we're at example one.
Okay. Let me pull out the pencil for this one. Okay, go ahead, Ben.
All right, so the context, so the landscape of the research topic is, technically, we inquire into possible shifts in secondary mathematics, teachers' attitudes, and experiences toward a focus on collaboration, discourse, and dynamic mathematics.
So basically, that's number one.
That's the background.
So it starts at we really.
Yeah, that's the context. So you can already tell in that sentence that these are the bodies of literature that the study pulls from. Right, collaboration, discourse, dynamic environment, etc. Dynamic mathematics, okay. Then,
Alrighty, Ben.
okay, now we're moving to objectives, focus of the research. Participants engaged in a course in which they interacted in a collaborative online environment, focusing on mathematical practices and discourse. So that's the focus of the research.
So that's two.
Mhm.
So it would end on focusing on mathematical practice and discourse, right?
Yeah, it's really the whole sentence.
Right, yeah, exactly.
So that's.
Okay, objective research
So the
topic.
research is, what is the focus of the research? Mathematical practices and discourse, right, through this collaborative online environment, which is GeoGebra. All right, now we go to the research topic or question.
Technological, pedagogical,
Yeah,
content knowledge?
so from a socio-cultural perspective, so here, the next 2 points are combined. So combined are the research topic or question and theoretical perspective or conceptual framework. Those
Those
two have
combined?
been.
I thought theoretical perspective and methods were combined.
No, methods starts with the sentence using
Yes,
conventional
yes.
content analysis.
Oh, me too.
That's the methods
Oh, okay.
and the data analysis. And then the results, our results show, the very last sentence.
Okay, so 3, or bullet point 3, research topic or question. That would be,
I think 3 is also, I think the 3 and the first is combined.
3 and 1?
3 and 1 are combined.
3 and 1.
Yes, we inquiry into possible shifts.
Yeah.
It's more like a research topic or question.
Using
Mhm.
focus groups, yeah.
I think, so the difference between 1 and 3 is 1 is broader, where, so this is broadly what we are inquiring, and then 3 is what we are specifically looking at. Because the whole thing is an inquiry.
So let's say object. Which sentence specifically, or which clause specifically says that this is the object in the research topic or
So
question?
research topic or question.
Object, yeah. What sentence specifically says that? Or phrase or clause?
Right, so here, we believe that teachers gradually, so here's the working hypothesis. We believe, this study believes. That, so this is the working hypothesis, which is also the same
We
as
believe
the-
or we inquire, where are you?
Oh, we believe
From
that
s-
teachers is in the fourth sentence.
Yeah, so from a socio-cultural perspective,
Believe
we
that.
believe, so from a socio-cultural perspective, that's the bullet theoretical perspective or conceptual
No,
framework.
I'm looking for number 3 still, third
Right,
bullet.
3 comes right after. We believe that teachers gradually develop, etc.
Research topic or question.
Yep,
We believe to develop the technology interacting in small groups.
this is the working hypothesis,
So,
or the hypothesis rather, which is the same thing as the research question or topic, research topic.
So the hypothesis is the detailed research topics or?
It's a more specific one. Yeah, it's very specific, right? It's your
so,
hypothesis.
so number 4 then, theoretical perspective or conceptual framework.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the theoretical perspective of using, would be using conventional content analysis of pre and post.
No, the theoretical perspective or conceptual framework is just that one part of the sentence, socio-cultural perspective.
Okay.
That lets us know the lens. The researcher is using a socio-cultural lens.
Okay. So, okay.
You can
so
do from a historical perspective, from, et
4
cetera.
came before 3. From the lens
Yeah,
of
they're
socio-cultural
combined.
perspective,
Mm-hmm.
we objectified or research like a topical question. Okay, teachers usually gradually develop their technology by interacting with very small groups. That's, okay, that's their point they're making. Okay, all right, okay, fine, so 4. So the 5th would be the method of using conventional content analysis.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this would be 5. Our results would be 6.
Right.
Okay, I got you. Now I grasp. As we proceed, format for
Okay.
abstracts, number 2.
Okay, so number 2, so the first one is problem under investigation. So
That's the
this
first
study
sentence.
examined. So this
Yeah.
one's much more straightforward. This study examined. That's the problem. What follows that is the problem under examination, investigation. And that's the first sentence.
Right,
So it's nice and neat.
Right.
Number 2, description of participants.
undergraduate students.
Students. We even get the sample size, 51 students participated.
So the 2 would just be undergraduate students.
Yeah,
Essential failure features of method. Okay, that would be 2. So number 3, or the third bullet point, essential features of methods.
so that's actually included in.
In
the
2.
Undergrad, yeah, good,
Right.
right? So they had 3 levels of food deprivation. That's part of the methods. none 12 hours, 24 hours.
So it would be a concentration task and a perseverance task. That's
Yep.
a method, right?
Yep,
So
yep,
it's two types, okay. Concentration task and a perseverance task. So that technically, that would be 3.
Mhm.
None 12, okay, boom, that's the method, and time.
Yep, and then basic findings is from food deprivation had no significant effect all the way to the end.
Food, okay, okay, basic findings. So
Mhm.
that would be bullet point number 4. So, okay, bullet point number 4. This prediction thing here that's thrown in there, we predicted that food deprivation would impair both concentration scores and
Yeah,
perseverance time.
that's the hypothesis, their hypothesis or their research topic question.
Okay, that's, okay, hypothesis.
Mhm. So before we analyzed the data, this is what we predicted. So that was the working hypothesis.
When you say working hypothesis, this is what they surmise, and this is what they're trying to prove, or this is what they
Right.
guesstimate?
Yes.
Okay,
Right.
okay.
So you take it point by point.
Yeah, that's, I could see it.
Yeah.
I'm a visual individual, you know, and so,
Mhm.
so if you show me these bullet points, I wanna see how does it, this is the section that relates to that bullet point, this is the section that relates to that, you know, this is the sentence that, or
Yeah.
the structure, yeah, so I grasp it better that way, so I
Yeah.
see it.
Okay, so, write, I think, I used to do that, when you write your research topic or question or hypothesis, whatever it is, write it on a sticky note and then stick it either at your desk or, on your wall somewhere.
At home, right by your desk, right in front of you, where you
And just look at it. Look at it like every day. Maybe you could stick it on the corner of your bathroom mirror, right? So while you're brushing your teeth, you can ponder this question, just put it there, and so then it's you're kind of thinking about it. Or you can put it on an index card, and then when you write your abstract, you can post it somewhere, because what you will find is that sometimes when you have like a moment where you're just taking a down moment, you'll look at it and then you'll think, oh, I could actually put another word in there and that would make this sentence better. It happens very randomly like that.
Mm.
You don't always have to sit down and stare at it for 10 hours, right? I know some people do that.
Some of our most creative insights and ideas are generated while sitting down using the bathroom.
Yeah, so put it eye level, like on the wall, and
Right by the paper.
Or right before you go to sleep.
yeah.
So it will be a 24/7 work.
Yeah, that's true. I actually, have my research question is on my desk, for my desk for grading and teaching in my office. And sometimes when I'm done grading a paper, I'll look up and I'll see it, and I'll think, oh, this is how I could make this sentence better. You change one word, something like that. So it helps. Any questions about the abstract? Yeah, you get going on that. It's important. Okay, any other questions about anything? I can go back to. So I talked about these things.
Existential crises.
It's that moment where you're like, what am I doing with my life?
Yeah.
I wanna
Is this
rock.
the right decision? Can I back out
Do I
of it?
deserve to
can't.
live?
Yeah.
I never questioned that God deserves to live. I'm living. Who has to die?
I remember back in the early 80s when rap was a brand new thing. And I went to this bar and they kept playing the same rap record over again. And this guy was talking about committing suicide.
Oh.
And I'm drinking a beer. Next thing I know, I'm mumbling the same words. I said, oh, I had to leave. I said, no. Those words will never come out of my mouth.
Yeah, so any comments, questions about your specific program? Okay. All right. So we can move on to the writing sample. So I can, look at something you have, and any question, or if you want to express an idea or convey an idea and you're not sure how to do it, I'll just come around and we can talk about how to do that. So here I am using my English instructor skills for this part.